Welcome to this MOOC on Media Laws and Ethics. Today, we have a lecture on social responsibility of media, theory and examples. Communication, as we all know, is one of the fundamental necessities of human beings. Human beings exchange ideas, transfer information through verbal communication or through non-verbal communication. They also use written communication and also communicate through visual arts. This kind of uninterrupted communication is necessary for humankind to flourish, and that is why the freedom of speech and expression is guaranteed in all the international constitutions, including the Indian Constitution. The right to freedom of speech and expression includes the freedom to hold opinions, the freedom to receive information, and even the freedom to dissent against the democratically elected government of the day. John Stuart Mill, in his free speech theory, states that free discourse is a necessary condition for social and intellectual progress. He claims that free speech and open exchange of ideas helps change false beliefs and creates a situation for the truth to evolve. It helps to mold good governance and democracy. It promotes individual autonomy. On political grounds, when minority views being suppressed in a representative government, it hampers equal growth. Hence, free expression is necessary for good governance and democracy. He also said that freedom of expression helps in self-realization by promoting personal growth. Mill believed that only free speech can inspire a society to challenge the traditional beliefs and notions, which eventually can help us unlearn and learn new things to know the truth. The freedom of the press or media was derived from this concept of individual liberty as explained in his free speech theory. He had considered press as a reliable medium, free from all coercion, to enable the public to know the performances of the government and the state. This press freedom facilitates full and open debate on all issues of public importance. There are four pillars of democracy: the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, and the press. Each one is subjected to different forms of checks and balances as per the Constitution. The media is called as the fourth pillar of democracy because it acts as a bridge between the government and the public. It is the role of media to ensure and inform the people that the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary are doing their duties properly by asking the right questions and seeking accountability, even if it is uncomfortable for the people in power. Thus, the media keeps the people aware and helps the democracy to prevail in a society. The Press Freedom Index is the degree of freedom that journalists, news organizations, and netizens have in each country, and the efforts made by authorities to respect this freedom. In some countries where the press and government have an adverse relationship, the media spreads negative influences in the society. These negative media reports have given rise to revolutions, rebellions, and violence. Hence, media activities are to be observed meticulously so that the information circulated would not create any negative effect. But to monitor and watch the watchdog, there is no proper authority. The role of media has been changing from what it was being perceived. The news has to be neutral and unbiased, but that is missing in the mainstream media today because the mainstream media organizations have hidden agendas. In running the media houses, profit should be a byproduct, and working to maintain a balance in the society has to be the motive. In a country like India, reading or watching news is a part of majority of the people's daily routine, even in the rural regions. There is extensive coverage of local, national and regional news which transmits the reports from nook and corner of the world. The digital media is popular among this new generation of educated people. Though people believe that print media is the most trustworthy source for news, as professional journalists write the reports with fact-checked documents, the consumers of digital news content is increasing continuously. Accountability of media. Although Article 19 does not provide for freedom of press, the fundamental rights of the freedom of press is implied in the right to freedom of speech and expression. The gathering of information by media is done on behalf of its citizens, and while doing so, it has prime duty to be cautious against misleading and distorted information. Therefore, media practitioners should be principled and responsible in news broadcasting. For these reasons, media has to be accountable. In several countries, assessments are made by non-state institutions, and these decisions are taken into account or overseen by media authorities. Take the example of broadcast regulatory bodies of Britain, New Zealand or Canada. The regulatory authority has come up with guidelines relating to the subject matters such as aggression, obscenity, advertisements and bogus claims. If any of the above matters were broadcasted, causing disturbance among public, necessary actions would be taken against the concerned media. The codes were drafted with contributions from the subject matter experts and taking into account public opinion. In general, there are 4 types of regulations of press. The first one is complete regulation, wherein no freedom is given to the media and the government keeps checking its contents and can ask for amendments in media. This system is found in Turkey or United Arab Emirates or China. The second one is a co-regulation, wherein a non-state regulatory system links up with the state regulations, similar to the one developed in Australia much early. Then comes the quasi-regulation, statutory regulation, wherein there are specific regulations being administered and enforced by the state through the statutes. Then there is the 4th type of regulation called self-regulation, which involves regulations being administered and imposed by the media themselves through internal policies. India claims to be following statutory regulations, but the Press Council of India has a limited role, and therefore India is often listed in the self-regulation list. There are different regulations being followed in different countries. In the case of complete regulation and co-regulation, rules that govern reporting are made by the governments, and the concerned officials need not give an explanation or interpretation as to why certain news is regulated. In such instances, journalists would not even have an idea of what is permissible and what is not. This is found in Europe and the press councils in mainstream European Union member countries today. It has norms made and decided by the organizations themselves. The general understanding is that if the press comes under the government control, it could intervene or interfere with media independence and autonomy. To avoid that, self-regulation was considered to be the most desirable option for India. Apparently, this is a universal phenomenon seen in almost all democratic countries, starting with Sweden in 1916, Britain in 1953 and India in 1966, began to establish a self-regulatory organization called the Press Council. In India, a statutory body, the Press Council of India, governs the conduct of the print media. The chairman of Press Council is a retired judge of Supreme Court of India. It is a statutory quasi-judicial institution that works under the guidance of Press Council Act of 1978. But the Press Council does not have any legal powers to penalize publishers for wrong news. Electronic media has to conform to the Central News Media Accreditation Guidelines 1999 under the Central Press Accreditation Committee (CPAC), according to which if a media organization provides any false or forged detail, that media organization shall be debarred from accreditation for a maximum of up to 5 years and not less than 2 years. As far as newspapers and other media are concerned, there is pre-publication substantiation done by editors before it reaches the public. Apart from that, an internal mechanism such as Media Council of Peers, Media Watch Groups, Readers Editors or Internal Ombudsman, Letter to Editor, all are intended to highlight and address the wrongs done by media persons and reporters or the media management. Practically speaking, the impact of freedom of expression and speech on the freedom of press is present in all statutes and constitutions, but not appropriately practiced. Therefore, it is important to understand press freedom and the type of regulation followed in a country. The Press Council of India, as discussed, has very limited power. The television media has formed its own regulatory mechanism called News Broadcasting Standards Authority (NBS). However, there are issues such as cross-media ownership, inaccurate news being published, creating sensationalism, absence of journalistic ethics, paid news, advertisement-oriented news being released for profit, and privacy violation, unnecessary news on celebrities and superstardom, unethical sting operations being held for publicity, etc. These are never addressed. So far, we have seen the importance of freedom of speech and expression in protecting the democracy of a country and the significant role of media being played in protecting the democracy. We have also seen the different kind of regulations being followed in different countries.